thing that stuck out to me when we were in the airport going to DC, this middle-aged white lady, she saw us in the airport, milling about, waiting on our plane. And she came up to us and was like, "Oh, are y'all a basketball team?" And was like, "No." But that's the stereotype. You see a group of young black men together and you automatically assume, oh, this must be some type of athletic team. Peace. What's up, everybody? What's going on, family? Welcome to another episode of Ron's Library and Ideas. I'm Ron. Now, today, we're going to be talking about stereotypes. And one stereotype in particular, and that is about the basketball star. Growing up, I think just about almost every young black kid that I knew had some type of dream of being a hoop star. I had dreams of being a hoop star. Who wouldn't want to do that? You go out there, you get paid millions of dollars to play a game that you already love. You get that fame and adoration. You can take care of your family. And you're seen as like a superhero in a sense. Basketball stars live good lives. But the chances of you becoming that basketball star are pretty much slim to none. But that doesn't mean we don't like to go out and live out that fantasy whenever we can on the basketball court. Or we do it vicariously through the people we see on TV. That's why we get so emotionally invested into these games, because it's a lifestyle we would like for ourselves. But you should never let your enemy define what you should be. Never let your enemy define what your dreams should be. That's a recipe for disaster, because I know a lot of young black men who didn't make it to the NBA, and they have this sense of failure on them, or this sense of dread that they didn't make it to what they were going to do. But the honest reality is, that's a very hard dream to make true. You know how many people out there play basketball? You know how many black men out there play basketball and are good at it? And we're all trying to cram ourselves into one league, making them billions upon billions of dollars. And they pay the basketball players millions as well. But are they really getting their fair share of the profits? I say no. But what's interesting to me is that this isn't a new observation of mine. We're going to be going through the first chapter of Nathan McCall's What's Going On. Now, this is the same man who wrote Makes Me Want to Holler. It's an autobiography, and it's on my channel, so you guys should check that out. But Nathan McCall has some pretty good insights. And the thing that stuck out to me the most in this chapter is this, we get fed this stereotype. We get shown these images over and over and over again. And we start to really believe it. We think, oh, okay, well, yeah, I am gifted athletically. But we start to think that that's all that we can be. When that's simply not the case. When I was in high school, I was in the Alpha Scholars Alliance. And the advisor to our group, Mr. Williams, he took us to Washington, D.C. for the Millions More movement put on by the Nation of Islam and Farrakhan. Great trip. A lot of wonderful memories. We got to see Howard for the first time. A few of us wound up going to Howard and graduating from Howard because of that trip. We didn't meet Bill Gates, but Bill Gates came and spoke at this, I guess it was some kind of seminar that was going on at Howard. And we fell asleep during it. It was funny because Mr. Williams got mad at us. He said, yo, the richest man in the world is up there talking and y'all in here asleep. And yeah, niggas was tired. I remember that we have a picture of it, like looking down the row. And it's like you see like 5 people with their heads down sleeping. It was a lot going on that trip. But the thing that stuck out to me when we were in the airport going to DC, this middle-aged white lady, she saw us in the airport, milling about, waiting on our plane. And she came up to us and was like, "Oh, are y'all a basketball team?" And it was like, no. But that's the stereotype. You see a group of young black men together and you automatically assume, oh, this must be some type of athletic team. Oh, y'all play basketball? Oh, y'all don't play basketball? Oh, y'all must play football. Oh, y'all don't play football? What do y'all do? And it's just, I guess it's offensive because people start to think, well, that's all that you can be. I don't remember exactly how we answered her, but I think one of the bros looked at her and said, no, we're the traveling Mandingo warriors, and like winked at her or something. But that's funny. And that goes to show you just how powerful stereotypes are. They program the psyche of the masses. People see these things and they start to believe, okay, well, this is all that black people can be. A rapper, a drug dealer, an athlete, an entertainer, and that's it. They see our woman and the images that are shown of our woman, very basic things. Now they're starting to give us these things like black girl magic, but they're also showing that struggle and strife between black men and women, like that's the only thing that we have going on. But again, that's part of the programming. You show that image enough times and we'll start to act like that. It'll start to get highlighted. Let me get a sip of water. This first chapter is called, let's see, the revolution is, hold on. The revolution is about basketball. Let's see. All right. So again, Nathan McCall is a journalist, an author, and this book is just about insights that he has about our situation, our community. So it starts off, chapter 1, the revolution is about basketball. While riding through a wooded park in Arlington, Virginia, where the bike trails are longer and more scenic than those in my neighborhood, I came across a group of white boys shooting hoops on a crowded court. Curious to see if they shared the same electrified spirit that's standard at so many spots where black folks play, I stopped to watch. Except for the absence of trash talking, funk faking, signifying, profiling, and coast-to-coast monster slam dunks, the game was played with the same vigor as on any other court. You know what's interesting is reading this and hearing like the slang that he uses that was popular during his time. Lets you just know this is coming from an earlier age. I believe this book was first published in 1997. So think about that, 1997. This is the lingo at the time. One team, a group of dudes who appeared to be in serious basketball sync, ruled the court. They kicked big butt, sending one team after another or another squad of pretenders to the sidelines in up-tempo games of 21. I was about to leave midway through a game when a big luxury car cruised up, slowed down, and came to a stop. Inside were 5 black men who were apparently dropping in to check out the level of competition at that spot. After seeing the brothers, I sat tight, certain that some intriguing racial drama was about to unfold. As the brothers popped from the car, their super cool demeanor revealed their self-assurance as clearly as the blue sky hanging overhead. Their smug expressions seemed to say, yo, we're here now. The real balling is about to start. Almost instantly, the white spectators out there who loudly cheered for their favorite teams before the blood showed up grew quiet, somber, as if a funeral procession were passing through the woods. They were afraid, I assume, that there might be trouble. Of course, the brothers knew that they were being watched. The white folks stared so hard they couldn't help but know. Seemingly unconcerned, the Bloods stepped up to the sidelines and exchanged condescending smirks while they scoped the closing minutes of a lopsided game. Standing there, dressed in the finest brand name tennis shoes and athletic gear, they appeared totally confident, cocky, Like maybe they taking in too many of those popular sneaker commercials that feed America's myth about their Super Bowl playing skills. Perhaps they brought into that slick Reebok ad, the one where a brother, caught up in a fit of hoops bravado, boasts to the world, "This is my planet." Or maybe they were inspired by the or maybe they were inspired by the hip Foot Locker spot in which the determined dude with a basketball spinning like a crystal on his gleaming bald head turns to Zen meditation to achieve white folks' idea of black men's greatest quest, defying gravity so we can dunk a goddamn basketball. Possibly, the blood saw Nike's Revolution ad, the one that features several rising black NBA stars standing together, tall, lean, and solemn, while the voiceover informs us that these are the men who will lead the revolution, because the revolution is about basketball. When I was a teen, my buddies and I often listened to popular political rap called "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." Back then, that record filled us with the hope that one day we rise up from life's sewer and kick Whitey's ass. Little did we know that our long-awaited revolution will one day be reduced to commercial breaks. Now, seeing that Nike ad makes it all clear. The revolution is about basketball. To bring on the revolution, brothers must leap in the air, not rise up in rebellion as we once believed. That's right. Stuff a ball in a hole and all will be made right in our troubled black world. Side note. Commercials seem to have been playing a more of a powerful role during the 90s and the early 2000s. I don't know if they're still as effective as they used to be with the advent of social media, but this idea of having to placate this black aggression, they had to put that energy into something else. They had COINTELPRO to disrupt a lot of our black organizations, assassinate a lot of our black leaders, and now they still have this youth with all this energy. What are we going to do with them? Well, let's give them this dream of being hoop stars. At least they can be in control and be the man on the court or the field. Let them think of themselves merely as athletes and nothing more, or as rappers. Anything that we control the industry of, that's a whole lot more safe for the establishment than let our minds wander to what else can we be outside of those things. Because that stereotype of us being so gifted athletically, if you run across a brother who's not gifted like that, in a sense, you'll feel like, well, what's wrong with you? Oh, you didn't play basketball in high school? Oh, you weren't a star at some sport? These type of things can weigh on young brothers because not all of us are gifted athletically. Not all of us wanted to be hoop stars. We may have had dreams of that, but it doesn't work out that way for a lot of us. And that's okay. That's the thing. They want to put that pressure on you and make you feel like, well, if you're not living up to this stereotype that we created, well, then you're a failure. That's the name of the game. So the brothers who can't ball, the other dream that they can grasp onto and seem like, okay, maybe I have an easier time getting into this is the music game. Well, let me just go and be a rapper or something, or a singer. And that's an entirely other industry that's not controlled by us. There's gatekeepers. And if you don't make it in that, that's something else that they make you feel like you're a failure for not being able to achieve. I say it all the time, it's a game. They play games with us. So let's continue. The white champs playing in the park must have seen the commercials too. The moment the blacks bopped onto the court to replace the losing team, the innocent game of b-ball ceased to be recreation alone. Right away, it was transformed into something else, something much larger than that. It took on the weight of a symbolic racial war, one that carried the strain of nearly 4 centuries of friction between American blacks and whites. With few words exchanged between the teams, the black newcomers shunned their practice warm-ups and started the game. They began slowly, half-heartedly, as if they already knew how things would play out. They ignored defense, they trotted casually up and down the court, and repeatedly tossed up bad shots, long lethargic jumpers from three-point range. For the first few minutes, their cutesy fadeaways and show-off 360 bounced nonchalantly off the rim. Okay, and that's something else. You can get so overconfident in your abilities that you don't respect your opponent. That's something never to do. You go out there too cocky, thinking I ain't really have to try like that, and you'll be surprised what happens to you. In any arena that you step in, be it your work environment, playing the game of chess, never underestimate your opponent. That's how you get played out. Not putting in your full effort because, I got this in the bag. That overconfidence, and that's part of the programming as well. They were shown these images, of course we're going to beat them. We're black. But that's not always the case. Excuse me. Meanwhile, the white boys ran on adrenaline, pumped by fear. They played a different, more determined game. From the jump, they hustled, defending strong against drives to the net, diving hard for loose balls, and passing to the open man for easy layups that caught the brothers off guard. Seizing the chance to reverse the mental edge, the whites took an early lead. As they slowly began extending it toward 21, concerned looks washed across the brothers' faces. The script wasn't unfolding for them in slow motion splendor the way it did for the Superbloods in those glossy sneaker ads. They huddled briefly, then nodded knowing nods that said, okay, now it's time to start playing ball. Let's take it to the rack. They picked up the pace, playing tougher defense, hustling for rebounds and using better shot selections than they used before. They dunked, they dived, they drove to the net. Clearly skilled, they were closing the gap toward the game's end, but it was too late. The whites had gained more confidence. They rallied desperately to maintain their early lead. Before long, it was apparent the brothers would lose. As the whites crept toward the final score, one frustrated brother completely lost his cool. He called foul on the white boy who stuffed his shot. He insisted on taking possession of the ball out of bounds. When the white boy refuted the call, the brother, exasperated, shouted, "You hacked me, motherfucker." Actually, the guy hadn't fouled him. He blocked the brother's shot, pure and clean, and taking the ball downtown for an easy bucket. Damn, he blocked his shot, then took it full court and scored. But the white boy conceded. He gave up the ball, then stole the inbounds pass and whipped it down court for another score. Damn. That's embarrassing. You whine, you complain about a foul that didn't happen, and like they say, ball don't lie. So he gave you the ball, then he stole it and took it back down the court and scored again. I know they were feeling stupid. Finally, the whites reached 21. They milled around the court, looking unsure about what to do next. You could see the triumph and shock in their eyes. I think they wanted to cheer, but the whites, about 25 spectators in all, including other teams and the champions' girlfriends, all lay low. Damn, they got beat in front of women too. They were afraid to celebrate for fear of being bum rushed by frustrated black men who let their race down. The Bloods were pissed off for sure, but mostly they were embarrassed that so many people, white people, had seen what went down. After all, those 5 brothers had come to invade the man's concrete turf to do their part for the revolution. Instead, they got slammed, big time at hoops, by white boys at that. The brothers lingered on the court momentarily in disbelief. Their pleading eyes hinted that they wanted to play another game, the best 2 out of 3 maybe, but there was no way they could ask without completely losing face. So, they resigned themselves to the humiliating loss. They gathered their broken spirits, got in their car, and drove away, defeated in more ways than they probably realized. After the brothers were gone, spectators, players, all the white folks out there broke into a wild celebration, high-fiving one another as if they won the NBA Finals or the NCAA. As far as they were concerned, they had won a championship. After all, they'd beaten a bunch of arrogant niggers at their own simple game. Still unnoticed, sitting off to the side near the wooded trail, I watched the celebration from my bicycle perch, then quietly pedaled away, vaguely ticked off by what I had seen. My feelings were marked by a gnawing that I couldn't quite frame. I was glad for their sake that those conceited brothers had lost the match. At the same time, I was annoyed that the white boys had won. Those conflicting emotions mirrored my mixed feelings about the game of basketball itself. I love the sport, but I hate the grotesque contradictions we Americans bring to the game. For me, the players in that pickup contest acted out a drama that revealed just how much hoops reflected this country's fixation on color. Sports, for sure, is a metaphor for life. And in America, basketball is a metaphor for race. From the get-go, both the black and the white competitors were driven by a crude assumption that's so firmly embedded in our psyches that we don't even see it half the time. It's the deep-rooted belief that blacks are more gifted as athletes than whites, but that somehow God shortchanged brothers on brains. It was apparent from the start that the white boys believed the brothers were athletically superior to them. What annoyed me most was that the brothers seemed to believe it too. Clearly, they showed up on that court proudly accepting the mythology that they were blessed with natural athletic skills, and because of that, they assumed they'd dust off the white boys and be on their way. It's clear why brothers like them are so puffed up and proud of their proficiency at hoops. In a sense, they can rightfully claim basketball as their unquestioned domain. Since they got turned on to that white man's game, brothers have brought a poetic grace and style to basketball that's unmatched in any other sport. On sandlot courts or in pro arenas, African Americans do with hoops what Charlie Parker did with jazz. They highlight the beauty of improvisation. For brothers, basketball is jazz. It's their sweet obsession. It's ballet in sweat socks and tennis shoes. Watching those Bloods on the court that day also brought home the fact that many hoops-obsessed brothers seem to be missing a larger point. They think that they're on top of the world because they can do a 360 or shatter a rim. But they haven't figured out how to transfer their ball-playing skills to the mental sphere. Their confidence and brilliant play mean that with similar time and devotion, they could perform equivalent intellectual feats off the court, but they don't seem to get that. Instead, they get hung up on their physical ability and play right into white folks' hands. So many brothers get sucked into what seems like a basketball cult because they're conditioned to see themselves and even aspire to be seen as athletic mules rather than as thinking men. Almost from the jump, they're encouraged by the media, by whites, and even by the unwitting black athletes they admire most to buy into images that lead to self-defeat. To get a glimpse of how part of the psyche game is played, all you have to do is flick on the tube during basketball season when the networks run a stream of glitzy ads that feed into a river of crippling myths. There's Michael Jordan pimping his latest $125 Nikes by dunking on a sky-high basket. I think you guys get the gist of this. If you want to read more of this or hear me read more of this, leave a comment down below. But it's sad that we can get played mentally so easily, and that play, that game being run on us is being run on both sides. It's not just something that affects black people. It's something that affects the white people of this country or the other races of the world as well. They have no idea that these images are being pushed on you to control what you think of yourself. You know, just how those brothers had a overinflated sense of their prowess on the basketball court to where they didn't have to work as hard. That same thing could be said of other races and the things that they are shown to be good at or at the masters at. So when they do run across somebody who's more skilled than what they are, or they have more skill at this thing than what they have, that throws them for a loop. They can't understand it. They get angry. You know, Dick Gregory used to talk about how he was the first black comedian that could play at a comedy club, at a white comedy club. He said, you know, you can get up there and sing and dance for them and entertain them, but you couldn't stand there flat-footed and just speak, because then they will see how intelligent you are, and that's scary. Imagine back then when Dick Gregory was doing, that's probably a very terrifying idea for them to think, well, damn, I didn't know there was some intelligent niggas out here like this. How many of them are there? So those stereotypes that you get of black men just being athletes, you know, that helps the society that benefits from white supremacy deal with the fact that, okay, we're being put to the top of this system, but we may not really belong here. We may have gotten this position not based on our skill, but based on who we know and who's in charge of the system. So I know intelligence scares some people, especially if they feel like you know something that they don't know. But here's the thing. You have the ability to learn whatever it is you want to learn. You just have to have that confidence in yourself that you can go out there and do that. If I can leave you guys with one thing from this video, never let your enemy decide your fate. Never let your enemy decide what your dreams are going to be. Now, it may take some effort. You're probably going to have to go in really deep and analyze, okay, well, why do I want to do this? I have to do this myself. I'm a 37-year-old man. And I have to analyze, why do I do the things that I do? Where is this coming from? Because there's a reason. We don't just do things for no reason. Like the fact that I hate stereotypes in this. It used to really bother me that people would try to put me in a box and say, oh, well, you can only be this. So in my mind, I felt like, okay, yes, I am intelligent, but I have to make sure when I go out there on the court, I'll show you, I'll bust your ass in basketball too. I felt obligated to do that because I didn't want to be put into that box of just like the stereotypical Steve Urkel character. But these are things that we all have to deal with. We all have our mental hangups. You got to find out what yours is. So anyway, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Let me know what you think about that chapter and if you want to hear a little bit more from that. He has a bunch of different subjects in this book, just observations of his. And again, that's What's Going On by Nathan McCall. Personal essays. I think it's well worth the read. Have you read anything interesting lately? Let me know down in the comments. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, share this with somebody that you know who could use this information. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of Ron's Library and Ideas. Peace.